my journey to Palestine, people that have been there. We hear from activists, we speak to activists all the time, and they have a role to play, a very important role at that. But then you get the average person who just decides, I really want to go there too. I want to see it for myself. I want to experience it. There is a level of fear, and we spoke about this last week with our guest, Shahid Adam, and you do have that hesitation at the back of your mind. But let's speak to someone who was actually there, not just to visit, but happened to be there just at the time that this all started as well. And no coincidence, I wonder. But let's welcome our guest for today, Sister Zakiya Khatib-Shaikh. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Sunday Lounge. Thank you for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair for being in the studio today. It's an honor to have you. I know from the time I saw the visuals, the picture of you being there at that exact time, I said, when she's back, I'm roping her into studio. She has to share the experience with us, because I cannot possibly imagine what must have gone through your minds. But before we get to that, and before we get into detail, what motivated you to go there in the first place?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It was a 3 Haram tour that was planned. And I would say that I was a gift. I was chosen by Allah Ta'ala to be His guest. That's the only way I can sum up how I went on this tour, alhamdulillah. So when Allah Ta'ala decides that He wants you to be His guest, He honors you by making it possible for you to go, alhamdulillah. And doors opened. And before I knew it, I was on the plane. And I was on traveling to the 3 Haram tour, alhamdulillah. It was a group from Cape Town that we joined. Mm-hmm. And a very spiritual group also, might I add. It was azkar along the way, salawat, zikrullah, Quran. The entire trip was encompassed by this whole spiritual high that we were on this. And nobody knew when we were on this trip, because it was a Mawlud in Medina we started with. Then we went to Baqatul Mukarramah. Then it was Jordan, and from Jordan we went into Palestine. Mm-hmm. And nobody knew what was in store.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this entire trip. The entire group was on a tour, thinking we're doing the 3 Harams. And you are in Palestine at the time the Al-Aqsa flood start. And inshallah, we shall tell you how it all went.
I can't even imagine, because did you have any preconceived notions that this is how it's going to be like? Or obviously, your brother is Hafiz Mahmoud Khatib, and you're from families, you know people that have been there a few times. What did people tell you? Did you have any idea before that this is what it's going to be like? Were you told, don't carry this, or don't wear like this, or don't do certain things? What were the plans before the time?
Before that, well, we've heard of how the soldiers, how they always, harass the people that are going into the Haram, to that sanctified area. And you think that how are you going to do things differently so you are not harassed?
Right.
And the modus operandi I thought I would use is tourists, because tourists are not hassled as much as the locals.
Okay.
So you got to carry your passport all the time, and you're going through all these different checkpoints. And I had a white brimmed sun hat, so it was very touristy. The whole point of it was to make yourself look like a tourist, so that you're not a threat to them in any way.
There to visit, yeah.
And obviously, your calling card is your smile. So if you go to a checkpoint, and then the ladies are there, and then with the guns, and you smile at them, you automatically put them on a back foot, because you are smiling. Yeah, because they're expecting fear. And that's the whole idea of these checkpoints, to instill fear so you don't come back. Mm. So you come back home and you tell everybody they've got guns, and really it's huge guns, it's rifles, it's loaded. And you come back and you tell everybody that, we had checkpoints to go through, and these people are armed, and at any point they can shoot you. Naturally, nobody will want to go back.
Yeah.
But if you go there and if you smile at them, automatically it makes them confused. Now, why are you smiling at them, And you're so happy-go-lucky, and you're going into the Haram with your bag, and you're telling them you're from South Africa, and you're not anywhere from locals, from them. So automatically you don't seem a threat to them. Right. And they allow you to go, alhamdulillah. So in that way, we were not really harassed by them, because they kind of saw familiar faces as we were going along. And then, alhamdulillah, they allowed us. Something like that, gee.
So when you do eventually reach there, like you said, you're with a group, and that gives a huge source of comfort as well, especially when you have company with you, and a support system as well with you. That plays a big role compared to if you're just going with your small family or something like that. So that would be a big advice to actually travel as a group. So when you're encountering this, like you said, they got their armor and their huge guns and everything. But when you actually get there for the first time, before you actually see those soldiers, what were your first impressions? What were the first sights?
Well,
the first things that you noticed?
We came in from Jordan. So it was the Jordan Allenby Bridge, King Hussein Bridge. That was where we went entry from. And it was about 40 of us in this group. Mm-hmm. And they keep aside about 12 of us. Mostly youngsters in the group. They keep them for 6 hours. They made us wait at the border. It was no lie. It was 6 hours. So the rest of us were passed through. We were given our visas for entry, and about 12 of them were left behind, mostly the youngsters. And they asked them random questions like, if you know anybody affiliated to anybody. One youngster was asked who was his madrasa teacher from primary school. I mean, these are random questions, really. And, just to put you on a back foot. So they frustrate the group for 6 hours. They keep you behind. So you come back and you tell people tales like, who wants to wait 6 hours at a border?
Yeah.
So the idea is to frustrate you completely, to break you down, to break your resolve for visiting the Haram. And we as a group decided from the very beginning, we will not let anything disturb our frame of mind, our peace in our heart. We are going there to visit Musjidul Aqsa, the Qubatul Sakhra, the holy areas, the sanctified places. And Alhamdulillah, in that regard, we were on a very good morale. And we waited patiently for the rest of the group to come. And after 6 hours, we found ourselves heading into Jerusalem, alhamdulillah, towards Jerusalem.
That's incredible. And like you mentioned now, that was your challenge. And our previous guest last week mentioned that their challenge was when they separated the parents from the children. And he said that was hard for many of them, where they had to keep the children one side just to intimidate them.
Absolutely.
And like you say,
yes.
it's just to turn you off,
yes.
to make you come back home and say, don't go.
Yes.
They don't want the people to come, especially the South Africans. So once you are there now, you're entering that compound. This is the first time you're seeing that gold dome. You're seeing this beautiful sight that we've seen in pictures. We wear the T-shirts. We've got frames in our homes of it. You're seeing it for the first time. Tell us about that.
Nothing can prepare you for the first sight of Musjidul Aqsa and Qubatul Sakhra. Absolutely. When you find yourselves in the precincts of the compound of the Haram, it's like your hair stands on end. It's a spiritual tranquility that transcends, and it engulfs you, and it encompasses you all around. And wherever you are walking is Ardul Mubarakah. It's really, Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, and for right reason. Right. All the Anbiya alayhimu salam were there. They all walked the steps of the Haram, or all the areas around it. It is the only Haram that Rasulullah made imamat in, where all the Anbiya alayhi salam were present at the same time. So if there is anything about Palestine, about Musjidul Aqsa, that's close to our hearts as the Ummah, it has to be a place that we visit. It should be on your list of one of the Harams to visit. And if it wasn't important, Allah Ta'ala would not mention in the Quran. He would not have taken Rasulullah from Makkah to Musjidul Aqsa, So as a Muslim, it's imperative for us to have this affiliation to Musjidul Aqsa. But also now when you are in the precincts and you are there, and then you realize that you are a place where du'as are accepted, readily accepted. It was a dua of Sulaiman alayhi salam. He asked Allah Ta'ala, whoever visits the masjid, to accept all the du'as. So you are in a place where du'as will be accepted, alhamdulillah. But nothing prepares you for what you see when you walk in the compound.
But now let's divert now slowly. You are there, you're reading, you're joining the durood. And how soon do you all become aware of what started transpiring now? Were you all, is the Wi-Fi good? Are you able to pick up? Were you all following social media? What happened that sent alarm bells for you all?
Okay, so we arrived on Thursday in the evening. Friday, we did a normal Jummah in the Haram. Mm-hmm. We met the locals. It was bustling, vibrant. We met the locals. They were so excited because if you're from South Africa and if you come there, automatically they feel your family because we went through apartheid. Right. We know what they are going through. Yeah. So anything that gives them hope as a community, if you visit them, it's this thing that what we are going through. Mm-hmm. If anybody understands our situation, it's you. So when they know you're from South Africa and they hear you from there, they're very excited. They welcome you with open arms. The smiles we got from them, the camaraderie, it was just amazing and electrifying. So Friday we did our Jummah in the Haram, and then the Friday evening we were in the precincts of the Haram. Saturday morning Fajr, and then we come back home to have breakfast at the hotel. Right. And then we hear sirens.
I was just going to say, now it's Saturday.
It was Saturday morning, and we already there 1 day, 1.5 day now, and then we hear sirens. Now we're thinking, we thought maybe just like a routine raid, like a practice session that they normally do, because we're unaware of what the situation is like generally. And then we see the news going out, and then we see that bombs are flying, and then it was the Al-Aqsa floods that had started. And now we didn't know at that moment exactly what it meant. The tour that was supposed to have taken on the Saturday, because it's a day of leisure for them, so then they planned it for the Sunday. So Masjid Khalil in Hebron, always that was moved to Sunday. And Saturday now we are in the precincts of the Haram. And now that we realize what had happened, there was this cloud of fear that transcended now, because now we're not sure what the next moment holds. When we asked at the hotel, they said Jerusalem is the safest place to be, so we took that as the cue
there.
To stay. Yeah. So alhamdulillah, we were in the safest place, in the safest area in Palestine, which is Jerusalem. So alhamdulillah for that. And then we made a decision as a group that if anything were to happen to any of us, the safest place for us would be in the Masjidul Aqsa. So as a group, we made the conscious decision that we will do the walk-in ziyarat in the Masjidul Aqsa and the complex in the surrounds. So that was what our Saturday was like. While the entire drama was unfolding behind the
You'll
scenes,
just say it there.
that nobody was aware what was going to come as the days unfold, we made the decision to be in the precincts of Musjidul Aqsa and Qubat al-Sakhra, alhamdulillah. And it was the best decision ever. We walk into the precincts and the entire Haram is deserted. Nobody is allowed in. All the locals were locked away in their apartments. None of them came out. So we are walking. Tourist passports, obviously, you got to take with you to show them that you're a tourist. So and that way they allowed us in. And we had the entire Haram to ourselves.
You were the only group there?
We were the only group in the Haram at the time. And we made the decision that we will keep the Jamaat alive. We will make imamat in the masjid.
I love that. I saw the videos.
Absolutely. It was in the entire, it was sad what was going on, but it was a gift from Allah Ta'ala that the entire Haram is for you. And there's nothing that I can explain to the listeners that are listening in live right now, how we felt as a group. Our hearts went out to what's going on and all of the bombing and stuff. But we thought Allah Ta'ala brought us and He honored us in such a way that He gave us the entire Haram to us, to ourselves, you know. And we had such beautiful moments. We went to the Hujra Sharif of Sayyidah Maryam and Sayyid Hazrat Zakiya alayhi salam. And we made du'as for our family and the communities back home and for load shedding also for the for South Africa. Allah Ta'ala ease our situation. You know, I mean, we made every dua in our list, you know, alhamdulillah. We made dua for those who didn't get a chance to meet us and Allah Ta'ala accept all their duas. So the entire community of Durban and South Africa and Cape Town and Johannesburg, we made dua for the entire ummah, alhamdulillah, and throughout the world also, alhamdulillah.
It's really so spectacular. I must ask, because this question did play on my mind before we go to a quick ad break. At that point in time when this is happening, and yes, you feel so scared that fear comes in, your children were not with you at that time.
No.
Did you think at any point that it's going to affect you all to that point? Did you send them any messages? Did you call home? Was that your first instinct, or did at that moment? I want to know, because you see the resilience of these mothers, of the parents, what they're going through in Gaza, what they're going through in Palestine at that moment. And I can't imagine at that point how they develop the strength. And somebody else has told me, Salma, Allah gives that strength and you feel brave and He just puts this peace over your heart. Is that true?
Absolutely. You know, you think you are going there to support them, but you don't realize that they're actually filling your cup. You think you are going to give them strength, which we do, alhamdulillah. They find strength from us coming. But the resilience of what we get from them is that they are actually filling our cup to come back home and deal with our realities. And that is what the people of Palestine, the gift that they have, is that you think that you are going to support them, which alhamdulillah they are very grateful for. We actually go there to support them in the struggle that they are going through. But they actually inadvertently end up filling our cups. And we come home and we have the resolve of the people we've just met to deal with our daily realities, alhamdulillah. So, and if you go there and if you visit them, all that they have to say is Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. This entire Al-Aqsa flood can be labelled as Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil.
060-904-1056. 060-904-1056. Thank you to Brother MH for your message as well. Always sending in very positive messages from the beginning of the show. Sister Sabira for your messages as well and song suggestions. Lots of messages from a Sister Nasreen messaging now as well, saying very inspiring. Please don't stop. I really wish I wish we didn't have to, but maybe a separate segment altogether just to talk about with people that have been there and their stories. It's incredible. So let me not take too much of Sister Zakiya's time as well. We want to go now to, you have to obviously come back home. That is a big factor there. That the first thought that will cross your mind eventually, yes. How are we going to leave? Are we going to be allowed to leave? And do you eventually leave? Obviously you left because you're here, but how did that happen? How did you get out of Jerusalem? What did you see?
Well, on the Saturday we heard that the airport was closed.
Okay. And
naturally because of safety reasons. And so the whole weekend, the entire weekend, the airport was closed. On Monday the flight was scheduled to leave. And well, we did tell the people at home that alhamdulillah we are fine, also just to make them feel comfortable that we're okay, because they were naturally scared.
Yes.
So Monday alhamdulillah we leave Jerusalem and we're going to Ben Gurion Airport, which is about an hour's drive away. And the entire group is reading salawat and we're reading askar and alhamdulillah and the word of Allah Ta'ala, the Quran al-Kareem. And there was this fear that was in the bus at the time also, because you hear stories of tourist bus being targeted. And at any time a stray bomb can land on the bus and and that's the end of the group, But Allah Ta'ala's plan obviously was for us to come back and speak to everybody back home, alhamdulillah, about this wonderful trip that we had. And so our trip to Ben Gurion Airport, we get there and we got the shock of our lives. all the airport, the flights were cancelled on the weekend. So the entire airport was choked. It was overcrowded. And we were afraid that we might not get to fly back out, But we were lucky we were on Turkish Airlines. And alhamdulillah, it was one of the only airlines that were operating. So alhamdulillah, we all checked in, and there was a lot of delays because people were trying to get us off the flight so then they can take our place,
Yeah.
So we alhamdulillah, our recitations helped, because every single member of the group, alhamdulillah, managed to get the flight, even though people were being bumped off the flights. But we all, alhamdulillah, we made it from out of Jerusalem. And we were surrounded by Jews. We were the only Muslim Jamaat that was there. And I mean Jews, with the skull cap, with the flats, it's
because
like...
they were running away. They
Absolutely,
were trying to get away.
They were fleeing. They were literally... And you could see the fear and the horror in their faces. You can see they are very afraid. And as a ummah, if we show them that we are resilient and we show them that we are here to claim our haram, alhamdulillah, we can do it as an ummah. And that is the message I want everybody to know. We have a rightful claim over Musjidul Aqsa. Do not ever let anybody sidetrack from us from this intention. This is what we have as an ummah. This is also our haram. And alhamdulillah, all the Abrahamic faiths have a claim to the area, and we are also one of them, And we can coexist peacefully, inshallah. And that's the whole idea behind it. Hazrat Umar alayhi salam, when he came also, there was coexistence for many, many, many years, To never let anybody believe that only one type is supposed to be living there. We all have a right to the place, inshallah, alhamdulillah, to Palestine, and we can all coexist peacefully, inshallah. Allah Ta'ala show us the road day one day, inshallah.
Inshallah. I must ask this question. When you came back home, was there ever talk that we're never going to go again, or we can't wait to go again?
Never talk of not going again. Palestine will always be in our hearts. Every member in our group, alhamdulillah, we have this profound attachment to the lands of Ardul Muqaddasa, alhamdulillah. And we will, at the drop of a hat, personally for myself and for the group, anytime anybody suggests Palestine, I'm in.
And I think you will always be those fortunate ones. I remember seeing that video and I remember seeing the pictures, and I was like, hang on, there is nobody in that masjid. They are literally the only people in the masjid. And I was so jealous and envious at that point, and I said, look at that. You literally get the entire Masjid al-Aqsa to yourselves amidst everything. Blessing. But really, it's
what a gift, what a blessing.
What a story really to tell and come back home with such memories to share.
Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khair for joining us and
you're
sharing
most welcome.
that.
A shout out to all my friends and my family, my wonderfully supportive family, and everybody on the group, alhamdulillah, from Cape Town, and to all those friends that we made on the trip, alhamdulillah, and the people who are in Palestine who are waiting for us to return, alhamdulillah. We wish them all the success. Allah Ta'ala grant the Mujahideen victory, inshallah. Sure. And as an ummah, Allah Ta'ala grant us victory. Ameen, inshallah.
Ameen. Jazakallah once again, Sister Zakiya. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.